Folks, it's my pleasure to introduce the next guy. Now look, this is a guy that knows a heck of a lot of stuff that I'll never have a clue how to do. But you know, sometimes we all have to work with our strengths. And that's one thing I learned is whatever your weaknesses are, leave them there. Continue to always work with your strengths. This is a guy that knows how to make these kind of events happen. And it's because of him that you guys are able to see this right now. This is a dude that's been in this industry for years and years and years. He's been at the top of many different companies over time. He joined Ambit after a few times of being called, and finally the dude said, look, you're a buddy of mine, you're gonna join. And he did. And we have something absolutely amazing in common. We have the same sponsor. This guy is the co-host of this entire Yachtcast. He's become an amazing leader. One of the neatest things I ever got to see him do is I got to see him on stage at Ambition, and they were awarded a $50,000 paycheck. A one-time check of $50,000. Now what's so cool is you saw maybe a little preview teaser video that came out the other day, and he's standing in St. Louis, Missouri, where obviously it's not deregulated, can't be his own customer, but that's where he lives. He's in his home office, and on the wall behind him is that big check. You see, that's that daily consistent reminder that he found the right thing at the right time, and he's taken massive action. Folks, help me welcome back up Executive Consultant Mr. Sean Cornett.
Thank you, sir. Well done. Wow. We're just monitoring and may have some audio static issues, so we're going to just check that real quick before I start. Are we good? Good enough? I'll take the good enough part. Let me get the clicker here, make sure that works. There we go. Okay. Well, I'm going to find it pretty difficult to follow that, but you know, what's interesting is that what Chris just shared with you is exactly what you need to make big success in Ambit Energy possible. It's got to start there. If you don't have the belief, nothing else will follow. And everything I'm going to talk about over the next 10 minutes or so is built upon the foundation that assumes you've got a hardcore, driving, deep belief in this opportunity in yourself. What I'm going to talk about is something that I've never talked about, actually. It's something I've been formulating and trying to put together in a way that can be communicated, but it's understanding the fundamentals of how to build momentum in this business. What you see in front of you is what's called a technology adoption life cycle. And it's essentially the timeline of adoption of new products, of new technology. Take, you know, the iPhone or you know, a new Apple product. You've got, you know, the innovators, the people that, you know, they know what's coming out before it even comes out. They're testing it before it comes out. Then you've got the early adopters, the people that are waiting in line to get the new iPhone. Then you've got, you know, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. You see, obviously, vertically, you've got the number of people that are jumping on board to whatever it is. And then horizontally, you've got the time frame that it takes to get there. So we've got these innovators and the early adopters. And the thing to understand about, you know, the adoption of something new, whether it's a product or an idea, or in this case, an opportunity that you're sharing, is that it's the innovators and the early adopters that make it happen, that are critical. Now I'm going to be coming at this from a little bit of a different angle than you might think. What I'm talking about here, when you look at these different categories of people, these are different categories of people that are on your contact list, on your written list. The problem is that you don't have a darn clue what category your people are in. One of the biggest mistakes people make in this business is they think they know what their prospects are going to be interested in. You think you know who's going to be good or bad at the business, but you don't. It's one of the greatest causes of failure in Ambit Energy in network marketing. So here's the trick. The innovators and the early adopters have to get there. They have to be there. They have to be on board before the majority of the people that follow. Because the majority don't follow unless there were the innovators, the early adopters, right? So think about this in terms of your Ambit Energy business, of the people that you know. So we'll call this the Ambit Energy adoption life cycle, right? And think about this. When you start going out there and prospecting, I talked earlier about, one of the biggest mistakes that causes failure is people talk to their first half dozen or dozen people they think are going to be great, and they base their entire success or failure in this business based on the response that they get from those first half dozen phone calls. Okay? That is you prejudging and trying to predict who the innovators and the early adopters are going to be. But that's where you failed. That's where you're going to doom yourself to success. You're treating this like a lottery ticket. The way that you can control the variables is to not try and guess who those people are going to be. You've got to methodically, consistently, and in a short period of time, you just have to work through your list to identify what category all your people are going to fall into. Understand that, you look at the laggards, the people that are in the tail end of any adoption of any type. Those are the people that you could say everything right to. You could be Steve Thompson prospecting those people. They aren't going to get it. But the innovators are the ones that you could say everything wrong to, and they're going to join in spite of you. You see, there's a lot of truth to the old saying that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person or the right thing to the wrong person. That is so true. So on one end of the scale, we got the innovators. On the other end, we got the laggards. The problem is you've got to get to the innovators and the adopters to get to the majority of your opportunity. Well, if you take a theoretical, glance at every relationship that you've built in your life thus far, and you detail that on paper like you should for your written list, the only way you're going to know where these people fall is to simply work through your list and to work through it quickly. Because, see, it's not just what you're looking at here, but as I move to the next slide, now let's take a look. See, what's really happening is that as you start to sponsor people in your business, you see your growth curve, your opportunity in your business is built upon a lot of individual growth curves, because as soon as you sponsor somebody, see, they've got their own growth curve that they've got to go through. They've got their own circle of influence, and they've got to find those innovators, those early adopters, those people that don't need to see it first to believe it. They're going to believe it because it just makes sense. And they're going to go, maybe in spite of you. But you see, your growth curve is made up of hundreds, possibly, of other little growth curves of people that you sponsor along the way. And so when you think about what it takes to build this business, what it takes to build momentum, think about this concept. If you sponsor 10 people into your business, 10 consultants, over the course of 10 months, one a month for 10 months, hey, that's great. But you're going to get a completely different result from those exact same 10 people if you sponsored 10 people over the course of 10 weeks instead of 10 months. Same 10 people, just done in a compressed time frame. What's the difference? Momentum, excitement. You've compressed the time frame by which you've taken the action, and therefore your energy level, your excitement, your belief is through the roof. And what happens is because you're making it happen faster, you are bringing on the majority of the people, the late adopters, right? The people that are waiting to see if it's going to work first, right? You're putting in the overtime in the beginning. You're making the sacrifice, like Tim talked about, to take the extra action so that you can find those people early and quickly, and that's what's going to pull everybody else off the fence. That's what pulls the rest of the group off. And so, think about the compound effect as, or the slight edge effect, as Darren Hardy or I'm drawing a blank on the other author, Olson, right, talks about the compound effect of this taking place. You see, if you sponsor 10 people over the course of 10 months and you space out their growth curves, look at how much you're delaying your success. Because it's not just what you do, it's what you can duplicate and leverage. The faster you get people started, the faster they get into their growth curve, which exponentially grows yours. You see, when Damien and I were getting sponsored and called, like Chris talked about, he was burning up our phone, leaving messages. And we were too busy. We had too much going on. It was a bad time of life. I'm not going to say we were as dead broke as Chris was when he started, but we were close. we were on that same line, headed to where Chris was at. But my point is that, see, he would not have sponsored us if he was waiting on us. Here's the difference. In between every phone call, Steve was working. He was building his business. And so every time he left a message, I could tell that that message was a little more excited than it was before. His belief was a little greater than it was before. His business, I knew without knowing that it was growing in between every single time that he tried to prospect me. And because of that, I knew he was going places. I knew this was the real deal. You see, if he was just kept waiting on me and he was expecting me to be a part of his, success, he was waiting on me to join so that, to create his success, he never would have gotten me. The only thing that got me and got, Damien and I interested is that he was making it happen in spite of us. And that's what pulled us off the fence, because we knew, because Steve had proven that this was the real deal. And how did he prove it? You see, we weren't the innovators there. We weren't the early adopters. He went out and found other people. He found Chris. He found, some other great leaders, Regina. And those were the innovators and the early adopters in his list. And because he was building with them, he pulled Damien and I off the fence. And that just added more momentum to his business. And so that is the key. That's why when we talk about the 526 Blitz system, the thing that makes it work, folks, the thing that makes it work, folks, is the compression of time frame. It is so critical that you make the list, that you make the invitations, but that you compress the time frame by which you take that action. Because when you compress that time frame, you're going to find those people that allow you to build the story that allows you to come back to the people that are waiting on the fence. The majority of your opportunity, like it or not, they're waiting on you. Think about this. The vast majority of time in network marketing that people get pitched, whether it's by Ambit Energy or another opportunity, what happens when you get pitched by somebody? Well, generally speaking, a month later when you run into that person next, they're done and out of the business. They've done quit. Why? Because that's just what usually happens. And so they don't expect anything different out of Ambit Energy. Of course, we know it's different. We know this is a superior opportunity, but they don't. You've got to prove them wrong. And when you prove them wrong, like Steve proved us wrong, that's when you get them. That's when you pull those people off the fence, and that's when the momentum starts to compound like crazy. That's when you get the kind of exponential growth that, takes somebody from, where he's at, like, Chris and Damien and I were 6 years ago, to complete and total financial freedom. Because we weren't waiting, we went all out. And that's what this process is about. We talked about the 526 Blitz, blitzing for your first week and exposing 30 people. That's just the first week. That's just so you can create enough excitement, enough momentum, enough of a story by promoting to 526 regional consultant quickly enough so that next time you come around and talk to all those prospects that you planted seeds with that were waiting on to see you fail, well, you didn't fail. You succeeded. You've got the proof. You've got the success. Now when you come back around, you're going to peel off some of those people off your list again because now you've proven it. And let me tell you, that's when your business takes on a life of its own. So folks, my message quite simply in this entire little explanation, and I hope it made sense, but for you to get past the chasm, as I'm told it's called, the chasm that you see on the slide, okay, you've got to go out on belief. Like Chris talked about, you've got to have that core fundamental belief to take the level of action necessary to find enough early adopters and innovators that are going to join your business even if you say everything wrong. And by the story you build from them, it's going to allow you to pull everybody else off the fence to really maximize and reach 90% of your opportunity that's waiting on you to prove it first. So folks, get momentum in your business. Take massive action and keep that massive action up consistently.